Hello and welcome to Mango 2 Reading with Short Response and Anticipation Guide. So it's important to note that A cohort students who come to school Mondays and Tuesdays, you should do this assignment on Monday, and B cohort students will work on this assignment on Thursday. Now, because we are closed Monday, you do not have to do that assignment Monday, and I will probably cover it Tuesday. But the second part of this assignment, you will have to make up somewhere during the week. All right. Um, so today our targets are to read and write about author's purpose. We're going to complete an anticipation guide to explore the themes of the novel, and you're going to read the first vignette to understand the genre that we are going to be reading. So when you look down through this, the first thing you should do is watch the video lesson, which if you have clicked on this, you're already watching it. However, if you are in class with me, either on Tuesday or Thursday of this week, then you are going to be getting this lesson in person. So it doesn't really matter. If you choose to watch the lesson at home, if you're not in class or you're don't show up for the remote lesson, then that's fine. All right, so after you do that, you are going to click on this form down here, and that should pop up. And let's just open forms. I'll show you what that looks like. My computer is very slow, so please excuse the speed. All right, so this form, you are just going to be reading some short sections about novellas and vignettes because our first book that we're going to be using is not a novel, it's a novella. Novellas have a certain amount of pages and word restrictions, which you're going to find out when you read this, and you're also going to find out what's a vignette. It's just a shorter story in a larger work, okay? And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Once you enter your answers here, you're basically going to move on. Now, these answers should be in that RACE format: restate, answer, cite, and explain. And if it asks what benefits or challenges, there's an S on the end of those words, which means you should probably have more than one answer in your response. I don't want tiny dinky little answers because the work you have for the other part of this assignment is going to be multiple choice. So this is one of the only writing pieces you're going to have this week. All right, and as you go, you're going to continue to have those. You're basically going to have to go back through this, and you can copy and paste things right in, and you're going to be able to use that to answer. But most of it needs to be in your own words. Okay, so close this form. After you close the form and you finish the form, you're going to be reading your first vignette in this story. So in order to do that, we're going to look at the first PowerPoint here, which I will include. Oh, here it is. Click here for the PowerPoint from the video. So if you're not watching this video, the PowerPoint is in there, and you won't know because you won't have watched the video. All right. Um, so this is just to tell you a little bit about how our novel or novella is set up. If we can get this working here. There we go. All right. So basically, the targets for this PowerPoint, we're going to read through the following information. We're going to understand the following literary terms, which are vignette, first-person narrator, and Bildungsroman. All right, these are lots of fancy names for really easy concepts. Okay, so a vignette, I'm not going to read through this whole thing. You can do that on your own, but basically it's a little short scene or a little snapshot that captures one little moment in someone's life or in the life of a character or the idea. So the way our novel is set up is it is told through Esperanza, who is our protagonist or our main character. She's a child and it's told through her point of view. We'll get to that in a second. But basically what she's doing is she's telling us about the people and the events happening in her neighborhood. And they may seem small, but once you look at the bigger picture, you realize that they all go together. All the themes are very similar and things like that. So as you go, you're going to get these little snapshots into people's lives. And without those little snapshots, some piece of information may be missing. All right. So each vignette or short story in this novella is going to have important information about either Esperanza and her family or someone in her life. All right. Um, so the importance of vignettes is they are very descriptive and can illuminate significant information, which they basically say a lot with a small amount of text. So they create depth of character, insight about past events or circumstances, and they help create a more complete picture or story. Okay. So they're kind of like poetry. They say a lot in a small amount of space, and you really need to dig deep under the surface to really figure out what they're saying. And we'll go through those together as we go. Um, Bildungsroman. Bildungsroman is basically a big fancy word that means coming of age. You have that down here, okay? It is a coming of age story. So a lot of times what will happen is our protagonist, who again is our main character, in order to be a protagonist, they have to grow. And I don't mean physically. I mean, they have to become more mature. They have to gain insights into life. They have to basically become a better, stronger person through the difficult circumstances that they go through in their lives. So usually, a story like this will start with some kind of loss or tragedy. So for Esperanza, her family, has moved here from another country. They're moving into a new house, and she doesn't like that house. All right. So this is kind of a big event that puts her life into upheaval. The fact that they're changing and they're moving, and she's not happy with it. And we're going to get that when we get to our first story. But as the novel goes on, based on the things that happen to her and the things that she sees, she's going to grow and mature as a person. They never really tell us how old she is, but I would guess she's probably about 11 years old, maybe 12 at the beginning of this book. And then she's going to grow, physically and get older, but she's also going to mature in the way she sees the world and the way she sees other people. All right, a first person narrator just basically means that the story is told from the point of view of a character in the story. So in this case, it's Esperanza. Okay. It's first person by the fact that she uses words like I, me, we, us, things like that. And she tells us about other people that she sees. So keep in mind, it is all from her perspective. She doesn't know all of the facets of these people's lives that she's going to be telling us about. She only knows about the little bit that she sees and how she interprets it at the age that she is. So we can trust her as a narrator, but we can't always trust the way she sees things because she's a child and she doesn't always understand something that would be similar to how an adult would see it. Okay. And not to mention, she looks at things through a very innocent lens. And because of that, she doesn't always understand how difficult the situation is. We may be able to see it, or I will see it and explain it to you, but she doesn't always understand that. All right. So now that we've finished looking through this PowerPoint, um, you guys are definitely going to make sure you've completed the form that you have on your assignment. And then we're going to start reading the first vignette. So basically, right now, I want you to pause this and you're going to complete the first form. And when you unpause it, you're going to come back and I will read through and discuss through the first vignette with you. All right. So now we're going to be reading The House on Mango Street, pages 3 through 5. So all of these vignettes are fairly short and will not require you to do a long amount of reading if you are asked to read these. So let me show you how you find this document. So if you need to find this document, you can do this one of two ways. You can go through Overdrive, which I will create a separate video to show you how to do that. But basically, this novel will be assigned to you on Overdrive. Overdrive is in your class link, and all you need to do is click on it and open it up, and you should be able to see House on Mango Street, and that is ready for you. However, if you don't want to be opening a ton of different things, basically what we've done is we've created this link for you right here, and all you have to do is click on it, and let me show you what that will look like. So basically you're going to click on that link and it should open up something that looks like this. Now, this is kind of small, it's hard to read, and these are exact pages from the novel that someone has put up legally online so that we don't have to have a novel in front of us. Now, you can do one of two things. You can either zoom and, blow it up and make it larger, or you can click over here and open, and that will open it in your web browser, and it will look something like this. All right. That's how I prefer to read it because it's already large, but you can do whichever you like. So I'm going to start reading House of Mango Street here. I'm going to stop periodically and talk through some things as we go. And if, like I said, if you are in class, you've already gotten all of this in class. But if you have not come to school and you have not shown up for the online lesson for remote learning, then this will give you all the same information that you have there. All right, so our first story is House on Mango Street. Oh, and something else to keep in mind. When you write out the titles of the stories, not the novel itself. The novel, when you write out House on Mango Street as a novel, will get underlined. And I always like to say long marks for long works. So the longer piece of work is going to get an underline. But because this House on Mango Street and all of our other vignettes are shorter pieces within the novel, you're going to put quotation marks around them when you discuss the stories. Okay. And we'll go through that when you guys start writing and you start answering, written questions and whatnot. All right. The House on Mango Street. We didn't always live on Mango Street. Before that, we lived on Loomis on the third floor. And before that, we lived on Keeler. Before Keeler, it was Paulina. And before that, I can't remember. But what I remember most is moving a lot. Sorry about that. But what I remember most is moving a lot. Each time it seemed there'd be one more of us. By the time we got to Mango Street, we were six. Mama, Papa, Carlos, Kiki, my sister Nenny, and me. The house on Mango Street is ours, and we don't have to pay rent to anybody, or share the yard with the people downstairs, or be careful not to make too much noise. And there isn't a landlord banging on the ceiling with a broom. But even so, it's not the house we thought we'd get. So if I'm looking at this last line here, one question comes to mind is what were they expecting? What was Esperanza expecting to get? They're showing growth at this point. Okay, so this is their first foray into home ownership. Up until this point, all of these other places that they've lived on, Loomis and Keeler and Paulina, and anywhere before that, since they've been here in the United States, they have rented someplace. It has not been theirs. They've had to pay a landlord. All right. So this home is theirs. They own it. No one is there going to tell them what they can and can't do. They can make any changes or improvements to the house they want to, and no one's going to bother them. But for whatever reason, Esperanza is not happy with this house. All right. So she's going to go on to tell us in the next section about her dream home. Okay. We had to leave the flat on Loomis quick. The water pipes broke and the landlord wouldn't fix them because the house was too old. We had to leave fast. We were using the washroom next door and carrying water over in empty milk gallons. That's why Mama and Papa looked for a house, and that's why we moved into the house on Mango Street, far away on the other side of town. All right, so we find out that their pipes froze and they broke, and the house was old, so the landlord was just like, you know what, never mind, we're not going to fix it, I don't care, You guys can leave. All right. So they moved across town, in theory, to a different neighborhood, possibly a better neighborhood, and now they own their own home. All right. But Esperanza is now going to tell us what her dream house is going to be like. They always told us that one day we would move into a real house that would be ours for always, so we wouldn't have to move each year. And our house would have running water and pipes that worked, and inside it would have real stairs, not hallway stairs, but stairs inside like the houses on TV. And we'd have a basement, at least 3 washrooms, so when we took a bath, we wouldn't have to tell everybody. Our house would be white with trees around it, a great big yard, and grass growing without a fence. This was the house Papa talked about when he held up a lottery ticket, and this was the house Mama dreamed up in the stories she told us before we went to bed. All right. So for this section, she's talking about a house with real stairs, not hallway stairs, but stairs inside. So what I think that means is if they've ever had to go to the top apartment, they've had outside stairs. So now she's basically saying that she's got stairs inside. They're open, they're part of the house. They don't have to go outside to go upstairs, things like that. When she says washrooms, she means bathrooms. Um, and basically, this is just that white, pretty, shiny, brand new house with a big yard and all of these wonderful things that are theirs that they don't have to worry about. All right. However, now she's going to tell us about the reality of the house that they are living in. But the house on Mango Street is not the way they told it at all. It's small and red with tight steps in front and windows so small you'd think they were holding their breath. Bricks are crumbling in places, and the front door is so swollen you have to push hard to get in. There's no front yard, only 4 little elms the city planted by the curb. Out back is a small garage for the car we don't own yet, and a small yard that looks smaller between 2 buildings on either side. There are stairs in our house, but they're ordinary hallway stairs, and the house has only 1 washroom. Everybody has to share a bedroom. Mama, Papa, Carlos, and Kiki, me, and Nenny. All right. So she's telling us that she's got these small kind of enclosed inside stairs, but they're what she calls hallway stairs. They're not open, they're tight, they're small. Okay. They only have 1 bathroom. So right now, whenever you want to take a bath, you do have to tell everybody to make sure that no one else has to use the bathroom. And there's only 1 bedroom for 6 people. Okay. So even though the house is theirs, it's definitely not big enough to really accommodate the 6 people in their family. Once, when we were living on Loomis, a nun from my school passed by and saw me playing out front. The laundromat downstairs had been boarded up because it had been robbed 2 days before, and the owner had painted on the wood, "Yes, we're open," so as not to lose business. "But where do you live?" she asked. "There," I said, pointing up to the 3rd floor. "You live there?" "There?" I had looked to where she pointed. The 3rd floor, the paint peeling, wooden bars Papa had nailed on the windows so we wouldn't fall out. "You live there?" The way she said it made me feel like nothing. There? I lived there? I nodded. I knew that I had to have a house, a real house, one I could point to. But this isn't it. The house on Mango Street isn't it. For the time being, Mama says, temporary. I'm sorry, for the time being, Mama says. Temporary, says Papa. But I know how those things go. All right. So this nun comes by when she's living in her old apartment that's run down, and the nun passes judgment just by asking, "You live there?" All right. She's passing that judgment that makes Esperanza feel ashamed of where she lived. So she feels like, I need a real house. I have to have this thing that nobody's going to judge me about. And then she moves into this real house, and it's not what they want. So at this point in her life, she's not able to see any of the progress. All right. Her mother says it's only, it's for the time being. Her father says it's only temporary. But Esperanza doesn't see this as one small step in a larger journey. She sees it as, oh, now we are living in this house that's not good enough. All right. Even though they own it, no one is going to tell them how to live or what they can do or how loud they can and can't be. She doesn't see the progress. So over the course of this story, she's going to see that progress and see how her life moves and evolves. And she's going to learn to appreciate those things. All right. Now that we're done, you don't have any work that goes with this story. This is just kind of introducing you into what this whole process is going to be like. Next time, you will have a section to read and you will have some other work to do with that. All right. Have a great day and I will see you next time.